What's up, everyone? And yeah, welcome to my very first live stream. I don't know if this is going to work.
What's up, everyone?
Oh god, yeah, I'm getting feedback here. I don't know. Yeah, I was getting some lag when I tried it the first time, so this is my first official go at setting up a live stream. What am I doing? Well, the reason I'm doing this live is because recording something for an hour or two is probably going to be quite intense. But what I want to do today, as I've been pretty unproductive, is do something that's been on my list. My list that sits in here on my to-do list of things to do for a while, which is to take the meetups that I've run, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a second, and turn them into a brand and an organization in of themselves. I think that would be a really good case study for how to build a company live. So that's what I want to do. And hopefully we'll be able to get something up and running really quickly. Something really quickly. I'm having dinner with a friend later, so yeah, a couple of hours at most. But we'll see how this goes. Who knows? I want to keep this short and sweet if I can. There's going to be a few little bits in here which might be a little bit annoying to watch, but I think I've got everything ready. As you can see here, I've got my monitor ready for showing you all what I'm working on. And then obviously I've got me here to talk to you, and then just in case I need to make a cup of tea, I've got my BRB screen ready too. So yeah, hopefully things will work well. I'm not sure if that's the case, but we can only try, right? That's how these things go. So here I am. I think the chat is potentially enabled. I will check and answer any questions that you might have. I'm not even expecting anybody to tune in for this, to be honest. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But yeah, let's dive in, shall we? So what am I doing today? Well, what I want to do is I want to take the meetups that we've had for a long time and turn them into an organization, essentially a brand in of themselves. I want to be able to kind of use it as an organization, as a business in of itself. Sorry, I'm hesitating here because I'm trying to do multiple things at the same time. I'm not a professional at this yet. It's just my first go at it. But yeah, so what do I really want to do? I want to, yeah, as I say, I want to build a company in real time and show you all how to do it. So what have I got up here so far? Well, what I've got here first and foremost is our domain registry and where we're going to get a theme from to be able to build our site. So the meetups that we've run for a long time can be found here. So let's show you these here. And I'm not super happy with the branding here. As you can see at the moment, the meetups are powered by Different, which is one of the essentially the company that I run, and the meetups are essentially a nice kind of advertising tool to drive people towards the company I run. But they exist in of themselves as an impact initiative as well as a marketable, sponsorable organization, and so that's what I'm trying to do here, is to spin that out as something independent. Now, if I go back to showing you what I'm working on here, well, we've got events that are happening. Now, this is one city. And as you can see alluded to here, I won't show, well, actually, let me show you all of them. There are a bunch of groups. Pre-COVID, we had 21 cities live. Now, you can see that some of these need to be updated. But Bristol, London, Oxford, and I think Birmingham are currently running intermittent events. Bristol certainly every single month because I'm hosting them. But they all look a little bit, dry, I think. I love the image that we've got in the background, but the meetups haven't had a brand for a long time. So what I want to do in this hopefully not too long stream is to come up with, in rapid form, a brand and a website for the company. The website might actually happen over another video, but I want to do at least the cornerstone piece of this. So what I'm going to do first is go to our domain registry and pick a domain name. Now, Our meetups have been called Rebel Meetups for a long time. I'm very aware that in streaming this, someone might find this and buy rebelmeetup.com. But I think Rebel Meetup, interesting. Let's see what other people are doing. So TEDx events, and I know there's a couple of other organizations. So we've got Creative Mornings and Glug events. Now, Creative Mornings domain name is Creative Mornings with an S. If I do creativemorning.com, what comes up? Do they own that domain? Have they bought all of them to point in that direction? Yes, they have. Okay, interesting. So Glug events are potentially without their own website anymore. Although I'm sure they had their own event. So let's see. Glug Club, LinkedIn, Glug events. Maybe they don't actually have their own website anymore, and they're just using online media to advertise that. Let's close that. I see. It's pointing towards either the central organization that uses them, very much in the same way that we're doing it right now. Obviously, we're different, and the Rebel Meetups. So they're using them obviously as a primary marketing channel for this thing. They're a design agency that run the Glug events. So they're doing it in the same way that I'm currently doing it. Creative Mornings are doing it in the way that I'm looking to do it, which is organize this and spin this out into something that looks not too dissimilar. Ideally, we've got 21 cities. Most of them are here, a couple of them across here, one over here somewhere. But I'd love to be able to get to this point. There's one all the way over here in Honolulu, which is incredible. Good work on Creative Mornings team, be able to make those sorts of things happen. But that's essentially what Rebel Meetups exists as a potential to do, right? Is to do something very similar to this, but for a slightly different demographic. People that are working outside of the creative industries and inside the creative industries, but people that are self-identifying as rebellious, people that are breaking the status quo a little bit. And frankly, people that, are my kind of people. They're doing something different. As I say, they're breaking the status quo, and they're trying to build something most of the time, if not their own careers into something remarkable, but they're themselves and maybe even a project too. So Creative Mornings have both domain names, so maybe we need to buy both. So if we say rebelmeetup.com, let's say search. I might have already added these to my basket from before, actually. Let me take a look in a second. Oh no, they've emptied, so that's cool. Rebelmeetup.com is £7.72 per year. There's also a little promo code here, so let's take that and we'll add it in the cart. But we also want rebelmeetups.com. As we've seen from Creative Mornings, it's probably a good idea to make that happen. So let's add that to the cart too. That means that our total cost of this project so far is £15.72 before we add the promo code. Let's add the promo code, apply that. I need to be logged in before I can apply the promo code. Let's log in. I will switch back to me so you don't see my login details. Great. Cool. Let's switch back here. Okay, cool. Promo code, apply. It's been applied already or expired. Oh, I can see it has already been applied already or expired. Now, it looks like it's been added multiple times for some reason. Rebelmeetups.com, rebelmeetups.org is in there too, rebelmeetup.com and rebelmeetups.com. Well, I don't know how you can have it in there twice, so let's take that out and let's take .org out because I don't think we're going to need that yet. So £15 is in there. We had that. Let's do the promo code. We'll add that. It's expired or already been applied to the account. Annoying. Okay, well then let's try Honey. Oh, that's not Honey. Let's try Honey to see if there's any other promo codes, and if not, we'll just pay the £15 and we'll get that registered. So let's apply some discounts. Now, this isn't, by the way, a paid promotion. I just have Honey because I'm a user of it, and I think it's super helpful sometimes, especially when you're buying clothes online. I mean, maybe I should have an affiliate deal, but with the fact that I imagine nobody's watching this right now, it's probably not too much of a biggie that we're accidentally promoting something without getting paid for it. But hey, Honey, if you're looking at somebody looking to sponsor a streamer who has literally no previous streams and maybe 10 subscribers, and you know where to come. I'm here. Hopefully it shouldn't take too much longer to go through and find the right one. Great. We're saving 77 cents, not even pence, cents. Well, it's bought it under 15 quid, so we'll confirm the order. Done. Cool. It's gone back up to dollars there. Some domain privacy, fine. And then there's an ICANN fee for each of those, which makes total sense. Now, I'm going to try not to show you all my details. They have starred them out, so that's fine. And my company name is my company name. Yeah, so let's move this back to here for a second. Cool. Now the payment details are attached to the right card. Let's just double check. Yes, they are. Cool. Pay now. Great. Okay, so we're just paying for that. And they're processing the order. Cool. Okay, done. So within a very short period, we've registered the domain names. That's what we've got. We've got the domain names ready, and they're ready to be set up and hosted somewhere. What we need to do is we need to have some hosting for these domains, and we need to point those domains at where the hosting is. So the domain is an address, and the hosting is where something lives, right? The hosting is the house, it's the plot of land, and the address is how you get there. That's the best way to describe it, I guess. Now, I'm fortunate enough, I say fortunate, sometimes it gives me a little bit more hassle than it's worth, but to still have a virtual private server from when I used to run an agency myself. So that allows me to set up a hosting instance on my own server so that I can point to those domain names, there. Now, I can't show you any of this because it's got client information on, and so I'm not going to be able to show you too much. Might be able to show you this. So this is where it lives right here. Now, the accounts, let's head to there. We'll create a new account, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an account that is for now unlimited, and the domain will be rebelmeetups.com. rebelmeetups.com, because Creative Mornings went straight to Creative Mornings, not Creative Morning, even though they owned that one. And we're going to set up a password. Let's go for that. That's a weak password apparently. Well, that's really annoying, isn't it? Let's do that. That should be a strong password. Okay, cool. Yeah. Great. Email address is asking for. Let's go for unlimited package because I make the rules here. Password strength must be. Oh my god. My password strength is. Oh, it needs to be 80. I thought it said 60. Well, that's annoying. Generate password. Cool. Let's copy and paste that one. Fine. It's a big old chunky 100 password right there. DNS settings. We can look at those later. For now, we have. Hopefully, I can show you this in a second. I'm just going to see if this doesn't give any private information away. It might do, so I might not be able to show you that. But if I go into list accounts and then I go to the account here, which is rebelmeetups.com, click off of that one, click off of that one. Then as that loads, should be able to show you this one. So skip. That's new. Great. Let's switch this over now so you can see what I'm looking at. So here's what I'm looking at right now. We've got the email management, we've got the file management, we've got databases, domains. This is called cPanel, and this is what exists on the back of hosting websites. Now, you might recognize this, it might be different to what you usually see, but I'm going to keep things really simple here and just skip on through to the good bit. Now, I use WordPress to build my websites because it's a platform that I basically grew up with knowing about and use pretty much every time I build a website. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that changes every single time, and I very often forget what I need to do to avoid any issues. I don't need to worry about the directory. It used to have a default WP in there, which would be really annoying. Now, we don't have an SSL certificate, I don't think, for Rebel Meetups right now. So we're just going to go for an HTTP. Stop any yellow or red things looking pretty scary. Choose the version that you want to install. Well, the latest version of WordPress would make sense. Site name is going to be Rebel Meetups, and its site description is going to be a safe space for founders, freelancers, side hustlers, and rebels of all kinds to connect and share ideas. Now, I can never remember what the description length ideal is, but we'll keep it as that. Now, I'm going to set a username and a password. Let me come back to me while I do that so I don't give you all my details, and then we will. So hopefully a strong password right there. Yeah, cool. And then this can be my email address for now. So plugins, file manager, backups. Don't want any extras there. No, advanced options. Database name. Okay, cool. Manage themes, show themes. I think that's basically it. So let's do an install. Let's come back to here so you can watch it being installed. Finishing the installation. And then as we can see that we've just installed it. Now, if I click here, I'm just wondering if it's going to take me there. It might not because the domain's not pointing there yet. Let's see. No, it won't. So the domain isn't pointing towards this while actually. So I might have made a rod for my own back, but we've done a little bit of the first part of the process. However, let's go and fix that, shall we? So what we need to do here is go to. Actually, I think that I can. Let me come back to me so I don't keep giving you my information. I think we can potentially find the name server through here, if I remember rightly. Let's go to my dashboard. So what I'm trying to do here is change the name server. So at the moment you've got the address and you've got the hosting, and this doesn't know to point to here. The address just is the address. The hosting and the house and the land, let's say, to continue the analogy, exists somewhere. Exists somewhere in the ether, and the address knows exactly where it is. But these two things aren't connected. What we need to do is we need to draw a line essentially from here to the land, to where the house is, to where the website is hosted, so that as soon as something gets sent to this address, it ends up at the house. And that's what we're trying to do here. Now, sometimes you can have both of those things in the same place. Namecheap is where I've registered the domain, and Namecheap is potentially where you can host that website. So it can be a much quicker place to be able to, a much quicker way to be able to manage that stuff. Kinsta is a platform that I use for some of the other websites and a bunch of other things too. So, you know, I'm pointing different things in different directions all the time. Namecheap, just as it says on the name, has quite cheap domain name deals. So that's why I tend to manage things there, and it's got a really decent UI and user experience on the back end. Now, I have in the past used Namecheap to buy domains for other projects and then hosted those projects on the same private server that I have. So to save me a little bit of work, what I'm doing here is I'm just going to find out what the name servers are for the hosting provider that I'm using. So if I head to my details, just trying to figure out where that might be now. Client home. maybe not. Well, I know one thing that is hosted in the right place, I believe, and it's a different website. It's my consultancy website. So if I come to here, yes, okay, there we go. I can see. Now, I don't want to show you too much here because I don't think there's anything actually personal here. No, okay, cool, so I can show you this. So this is Namecheap, as you know. Here's the website here, and as you can see, we have a name server right here. Name servers are that. So I need to point to there. That's where the website will live. I need to point to those in order to ensure that the domain goes to the right place. So let's go back here. Let's go to the domain list. When the website wants to load. I wonder if it's slightly slower because I'm streaming at the same time. Probably. I don't know if download and upload clash with each other. I don't know if I'm clever enough to know that really. Let's go to manage the domain. The domain is there. Let's see if I can show you this stuff. Cool. Okay, so what I need to do is go for custom DNS, point to here, point to here. That second one was number 2, and I need to save. Oh, there's the save button. Also, I'm not too worried about showing you the address. That's literally the company address right there. So yeah, you can find that out online if you really cared about sending it's my accountant's office. So if you really cared about sending me anything, my accountant would get it instead. Okay, so what we have potentially as a challenge, and why I might need to wrap this video shortly, is something called propagation. When you change anything like this, the internet needs time to react. Sometimes these things can be instant. It depends on how far away these items are. Now, I may be giving slightly off information here, and someone super technical might advise something different, but the way I understand it is that propagation is just the World Wide Web reacting to what you've done, and sometimes the further away servers are from the point at which the information originated can take a little bit longer for that thing to react, to propagate. Now, usually it's not very long because the internet's very fast. It can be up to 24, 48 hours for some things, I believe, but most of the time it's about half an hour, if at all. So I'm hoping that now that we have our domain and we're pointing to the name server where the account that we've set up is hosted, if I go to rebelmeetups.com, then it will end up hopefully pointing towards the WordPress build that we've created. It looks like that might be the case. So if we go to try to log in to our WordPress build here, will it come up? It won't. Why won't it come up? Interesting. Let's go back to here. No, that's not what I was looking for. Is it because it doesn't have an SSL certificate? Interesting. Well, I'm gonna go check this out. I'll come back and figure it out for you. Maybe just put on BRB and yeah, and then once I've figured it out, I'll we'll get started again. So give me a sec and I'll be back. Hey everyone, I'm back. So I am just looking through the information here and thinking about how long the propagation might take. I've just had a little read through some of this stuff, and as you can see down here, if you change the name servers to custom name servers, vice versa, be added automatically, fine. Name server changes do not propagate instantly. It may take up to 24 hours. If I Google it here, how long to propagate a name server, 24 to 48 hours. So what I realized I've probably done here is I've done the first part of a couple of part video, if not two, maybe a couple more than that. But yeah, what we've done so far is register the domain. Super simple, the easiest part of the process basically. We've also pointed the domain towards the right name server, which I know is something that a lot of people can get caught up on. So we've done a technical part. Now, what we can do is go on and do the brand, right? Because the brand doesn't require anything technical. So now we've done that, that's working away in the background. The internet is essentially catching up with itself. What we can go and do is we can start playing around with branding and creating a brand for this. Now, what we have here, that's definitely the wrong link. If you want to book me for a talk, you can do so via Pitch. We have a bunch of different systems. Now, I've got Figma, which is free to a point, and I also have Photoshop here, which I do pay for. Now, arguably, and Adobe super fans and proper designers will argue that Photoshop isn't for creating graphics, it is indeed for creating logos. Now, that's totally fair, absolutely fair, and accurate, I'm sure. Illustrator is probably more so correct and or InDesign, but Photoshop is what I taught myself to use when I was kind of coming up, to figure out how to build things. So let me, when it actually decides to open, at the moment it's clearly not responding, so hopefully it will now. Maybe I've just got too many things open. Let's close music. I'm not even sure why that's open. As a Spotify user, Apple Music never gets used, and so I think it's probably just because we've got a whole bunch of systems open at the same time. Here we go, Photoshop is opening. Now, I'm not going to use Figma, I just wanted to open it to show you, but there's a bunch of confidential stuff here. Maybe this is something I can show you, although I might still have to log in. Yeah, everything is super slow because it's trying to do 14 things at once. Streaming on a clamshelled, i.e. closed and projecting to 2 monitors at the same time. MacBook Pro from about 5 years ago, i.e. not M1 or M2, whilst using Photoshop, whilst having Figma open and trying to act on that, whilst having 1,000 tabs open down here, is probably not the best thing to have really good processing power to show you everything I want to show you right now. So let's just close Figma. I'm not going to use Figma. I'm not comfortable with it. It's not where I am. And I think this is a good rule for everybody to think about when they're building their own thing, is that use what you feel comfortable with, right? Like there's no rules here. Someone might, call me out for, why is there a screenshot of me in the corner? Let me just throw that away. There we go. Someone might just call me out for not using the right tool, but it really doesn't matter because what I'm doing is building something, and anybody watching this that's worried about the tools I'm using possibly isn't. So who cares? I'm doing it anyway. So Photoshop is where I feel comfortable, and I'm just going to keep this really simple basically. So what we want is a really big canvas size. 72 is fine for digital, but we want to really make sure that it's suitable for print, though I am going to keep it in RGB for digital right now. Now, what all of this means for the layman is that this is just the size of the canvas. The bigger, the better. We'll turn it into a vector later. Again, arguably, we should be designing it as one in the first place, but if we keep things simple, it shouldn't be too difficult to convert later on. This is the pixels per inch. You need 300 plus if you're going to be doing it for print. This is why vectors are really helpful because they size up without any loss and down. And the color mode, CMYK, is that the right order of those letters, is what you would use for print. It stands for cyan, magenta, is yellow? Is Y yellow? And I can never remember what K is. Kelvin? I don't know. But it basically stands for the letters stand for the colors that are involved in that print process, and all the core colors that obviously can make up all the other colors in the color spectrum. Now, RGB is much easier to remember because it's red, green, and blue, and that's what we use in digital. And because I'm mostly going to be using this for digital, I don't think I've got any plans to print anything for the Rebel meetups anytime soon. Then we will be doing RGB. No worries about changing anything else. I've never needed to, so we don't need to worry too much about that. Now, let's create the canvas. We've got a big old canvas here, inside an artboard. I'm sure there's a reason for this, but it doesn't really. Probably I'm just about to do. Sorry, I was showing you all of that there without actually showing you all of that. What we've done anyway, now you know about those things. You know what settings I created. Actually, you know what? No. For the interest of this, let's just do a little quick recap. 3000, 2000, 300, RGB, create. That's all I did, basically. Got the artboard and we're ready to go. So here is our, now I can never, if anybody, I was about to say, if anybody knows how to zoom in on Photoshop, then let me know. One of the things that really bugs me about Photoshop was that I don't think I was ever able to do this before, but now I've got a fancy new mouse, so I can do it, which is really cool. Yeah, so what we can do here is we can create a logo. Sorry, I'm just getting distracted by text messages there. So the company is called Rebel Meetups. We know that's the case. We've got a really big font size there for some reason. It's probably what I used in the last time I was doing anything. Now that, believe it or not, there is writing there, but it's currently in white. So if we do that, you can see it comes up as a standard Lorem Ipsum text. It's Latin, and it's what we use in design when we want to fill a space with some words, but we don't know what to write yet. And that's what Photoshop uses to fill that space. So Lorem Ipsum is there, but what we want it to say is, of course, Rebel Meetups. Now, that's a starting point, and for some people, that's enough. That's a logo. That's a brand. Is it, though? Brands and logos are obviously up for discussion. Well, again, I'm sure I'll get shot by a designer for saying that. Are they really up for discussion? For me, a brand is the whole personality of a company, an organization, a movement, a project. It's everything. It's the tone of voice, the imagery, it's the iconography. A logo is one part of that. The Nike tick is a logo. Arguably, it's not even a logo. It's a brand mark. It's an icon that represents the brand. Whereas Nike as a brand is a sum of many parts. It's a personality. When you think of Nike, you think of certain things, and that's what the brand is. It's the proliferation of the imagery of the logo, sure, of the brand mark, sure, and all the other marketing campaigns they do to make up how you feel when you think about Nike as a brand. And that is, for me, what a brand is. A logo, though, is just the bit that goes on top of the letterhead on the top of the website and allows you to go, oh, this is, I'm in the right place here. Now, a typeface logo is probably a great place for us to start. I don't really have an icon in mind, and we're not trying to build a consumer brand here. I need people just to arrive and know where they know that they're in the right place. Just as we did with, let's do this. I think was that the right one? Yeah, this is the right one. Don't need to open a new tab. Just as we did with something like Creative Mornings, you can see that they have a brand mark and a logo, and it's also trademarked as well. So you can see that theirs is typefaced, but also they have this icon, this brand mark that represents what they're about. It's people talking, and so that style is probably going to be proliferated through everything they do. You can see that the typeface here, the font types are all consistent, and it's what makes you feel and know that you're in the right place. I'm sure, because I've seen it before, that there are, let me see, Bristol. Either I've clicked that before, or I've got location settings on, or they've got very lucky there. Looking for a new host in Bristol. Interesting. Hey, if you want to run a creative meetup in Bristol, then host one. right? This could be you, it says. And this is essentially the sort of vibe, honestly, I haven't been on this website in ages, but it's essentially the sort of vibe that I'm looking to create here. I want to, yeah, they have a local newsletter, like we could do that at some point. They have videos, we could do that at some point. We've done a lot of these things in the past in different ways. You've got the Bristol community here. You can see everybody. Not that I want to dox anybody, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. But you can see they've got a whole bunch of people that are in the Bristol community here. Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, Office Pantry. I know Office Pantry. Actually, the founder of Office Pantry lives in my building. So what a small world, and what a way to round the circle of this video, I guess. So yeah, so you can see this is what we were talking about here. They've got the creative kind of brand mark that's moving through all of the other stuff that they're doing, but they've also got the typography there. So how do we borrow some of that insight and turn it into something that works? Well, you know, what we want to do is we want to show a little bit of personality of what the brand is about here. So the Rebel Meetup's about being rebellious, they're about being mavericks. The different community uses that kind of terminology already. It's about creation. It's about doing things differently, about doing new things, about breaking the status quo. That's what these events are about. It's also about connecting with people. It's about meeting others. So, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play around with this, basically. That's fine. So a lot of these are typefaces that I've used either recently or ones that I use actively with stuff that I already run. This is the typeface that we're currently using for the meetups. As you can see, it's pretty traditional, pretty old school, and that's okay. It's not a problem. But you know, we want something a little bit more kind of up to date, a little bit more contemporary, and something that illustrates the brand a little bit better. So, you know, something with a little bit more attitude, I guess, is what we're looking for. Now, I don't have all of the typefaces that are available to me here. What I might do is a lot of them are also kind of not available at the moment, but I might jump into a font library. Of course, we will buy the official font that we would end up using eventually anyway, but just to experiment with a few of them. So, you know, what have we got here? We've got Dafont and Font Squirrel. These are two font libraries, just for the consumer level kind of person to play around with. I know graphic designers will be looking at these and thinking they're probably quite low down the hierarchy of libraries they would use. But as you can see, there's some really cool fonts here. Now, what you can do is you could do a search. No, that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to go and find something that's suitable. Distorted, maybe. Retro, no. Decorative, probably not. Grid, square. LCD, sci-fi is possibly something that we would look at here. Graffiti. I don't know if the fruit is going to be here, but let's say Rebel Meetups. Let's do large so you can see it super easy, and let's go search. So that's what that looks like. Now, to me, it's a bit childish. Didn't come out in the way that I would have hoped that it might have, so it's not quite right. There's a couple here. Now, what we can do with these is we can, within a whole category, start to look at different fonts. So we can do that, large, search by popularity. And also we can, by the way, do 100% free fonts as well. As I say, for any that we would use, we would go and buy if we needed to. But let's have a look to see if there are any completely free ones that we can use that would be suitable. Some of these probably not quite right. You might recognize some of these from other places. People have kind of recreated brands from films, movies, a whole bunch of things. Not really catching any on my eyes, those ones. This might be where we find something. So let's say, let's do 25 only for now. Let's do, and let's say Rebel Meetups. That could be interesting, but it feels a little bit too try hard. I quite like this, but this reminds me of something already. Is it Meetups font type? No. Did it used to be? Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just... Ooh, maybe it was. So you got that little flicky E there. Hey, it's not far off. It's really not far off. Well, yeah, no, I don't think it's that far off. That's interesting. You know, like, I don't want to copy anyone here, but like this could be a cool typeface. Plus, they've moved away from that old branding now. Anyway, they've got this more round and script type font, which I think these aren't scripts. We can potentially look at from a, where are the handwritten ones? Script calligraphy, handwritten, brush. So let's see about these. Say Rebel Meetups. Now I'm not sure whether the calligraphy one's going to be right, to be honest, because that is probably not the style we're going for. It's going to be a little bit too stylized, traditional. You see what I mean? Like, there's not enough attitude when it comes to calligraphic font types, but this is pretty interesting. So we're looking at handwritten ones now. Let's say Rebel Meetups, and we go large again. Let's not worry about the free at the moment. Let's just have a look to see what ones are available, and if we need to buy one, then we will. See, there's some interesting stuff here now. I quite like that one if there's a more bolded typeface to it. Some of these are, let's have a look at, let's say 100 at a time, and that way you have to worry about tabbing pages each time. Okay, cool. That's potentially interesting, like a really simple typeface. We could, maybe stylize it again with a brand mark. That's quite cool. Handwritten, bit of attitude. I quite like that. What I'm noticing here is that the two words together end up being quite long, and as a result, that means that we have quite a lot of type, quite a lot of text to play with. Now, that's not an issue usually, but when you're thinking about a logo type font, then it can impact the way that you would arrange that lettering. What I mean by that, and I'll show you this in a second, but if you've got a name that's really long, you got to think about how that's going to look in print and online, and where you're going to put those things. Creative Mornings is a good example. What they've done to counteract that is to put that text inside of something. Now, what you might do if you've got two words is to put one on top of the other and then squish them down a little bit, so it feels a little bit more compact, and therefore you're not worried about somebody reading like this when they're reading your logo. But yeah, so you can see how that would how that would potentially affect it. We'll explore that in a second. I do quite like this one. I do quite like that one there. I quite like these. What are they? They brush type faces. They're really creative. It's like somebody's written this with surprise a brush. Somebody's painted it themselves. There's a lot of attitude here. It kind of does what it says on the tin. Brush style feels quite rebellious, and therefore, the type and the name being Rebel Meetups, it fits quite nicely. That's interesting. Okay. And I think there's one, based on what I've just said there, I think it's probably one more type of typeface I would want to look at, and that would be graffiti. We might already have this open somewhere on these gazillion tabs. We may have already looked at this actually. Rebel. Yeah, I think we might have already looked at this, but let's have a look again. Did we click the 100% free? No, we didn't. So just in case we need to buy something, then we can. Yeah, the graffiti seems to try maybe like a little bit too hard. This one's interesting. That's quite cool, but you know, the legibility is really important, and you've also got to factor in, you know, other people. I can read that quite easily, but it's because I already know what is said there. If I put that in front of my mum, she might not be able to read it, and so we've got to make sure this is able to be seen and understood by lots of different people. So I don't think that would work, unfortunately. Similar with this one, I really like the cartoony style of this, but again, I don't think it would work, unfortunately, which is quite sad. This is pretty cool. And also what I'm considering here is when things are italicized like this, slightly on italic, then if I was to move this under here, which I'm starting to feel like might be the case, where would the top points of these things be? The T might actually fit really nicely in there. And if that's the case, where would the M end up? Would it end up here? Because if it does and it fits in this gap, that would be really nice. So let's, free for personal use. If it's commercial use, we'll have to buy it. So let's just download it now. And then if we do use it properly, then we'll purchase it later on. Did I like these? Did I like these? I like that one. Free for personal use too. So same rule applies. Don't know about that one. It's a good example there. You know what? Screw it. We'll download that one too. And then, as I said, I do like that one. That might be the one that I've already done. Yeah, that one I've already done. Okay, cool. So then what we need to do to have a look at these is install them, and then we can use them. So we've got install that. These are the typefaces here. I don't know what one that one was actually. I think that would have been the first one, and then these. Let's install that and install that. Oh, that's cool. They've given us a little example of the way that it can be used. See, I really like that. And frankly, I really like that color scheme too. So what I might do is I might just leave that open as a bit of inspiration. I love the semi-transparent nature and how it looks like it can be sprayed on a wall. Honestly, I think it could be done better. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then let's do this too and install that one. And then when we know the names of them, one is called Bombing, the other one is called Their Brat, and the other one is, I think, Shockwave was the other one. So let's play around with those. So what we've got here is we've got the typeface. Now, hopefully, if I've done that right, which sometimes I get it wrong, we can have a look. So let me go Shockwave. There we go. Oh yeah, it's available. Cool. Now, if we change things, I might go quite quickly here, so I apologize if I'm leaving anybody behind, but you can see what I mean about how these things might line up. Now, that was just me doing it on the same line. But if we take the word rebel, and we put it here, and then we take the word meetups, then we put them here, then we can start to see where these things fit in. And it wasn't actually what I thought it was going to look like, but I don't think the word meetups needs to be as prominent as the word rebel here. So what we could do, and actually I'm realizing there's a little bit of a Disney-esque nature to this typeface, is move things around so that they feel quite natural. I really like this one. I mean, I get quite hung up a lot on on fonts pretty much instantly sometimes. So let me see. Can I do I can never remember how to do open a copy. Screw it. What we'll do is we'll just do a Shockwave. Now, any good designer will tell you that whilst they'll probably tell you not to use this software, but you should name your file types so that you don't have to worry about managing them later. So that one's in there. That one that we've just done is in there. What was the other one called? The other one was called There Brat. Again, I really like that one too. Let me call that one There Brat. That one's really nice. I think what we would need to do here is maybe move this up a little bit so it's a bit more comfy. But damn, that one's good too. That's this one here, right? Yeah, that's that one. Yeah, it's really nice. And again, you can play with this. So maybe make a second one. And we'll turn that one off because I'm curious to see what it looks like when we put this here. Nah, it doesn't quite work. I mean, directly underneath might make sense. Just got to be very careful that, like, if we move up there, it's not possible to read. Move it down here, the design becomes a little bit uncomfortable unless we do something with the white space. But where it was before feels really nice. So actually we don't need the second one. But actually what we do want to do is try the final typeface that we had, which is called bombing. So let's call this bombing. Cool. And then we'll take that one and we'll change it to BOMB. Cool. That's interesting. So at the moment, as you can see with these file types, Meetups is sitting on top of Rebel, but it looks like it's a transparent, it looks like a kind of like a linear font type. So again, this can be played with. This is really cool, actually. It does look like genuine. It does look like genuine graffiti this way. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, now what we want to do is let's Siri and put a little background on things, right? So let's go boom, and we'll do a color overlay. Let's try just I guess like a wild color for starters. Purple. Let's go full. Let's turn all of the typefaces white. So let's go T and boom. That didn't work. Why didn't that work? Oh, that's really annoying. It's because I'm selecting file types. There we go. Okay, so that's what Rebel Meetups looks like on a purple background there, like that, with the Shockwave font type, as we can see there. Then if we take that one off and put There Brat back on, that's what the Rebel Meetups thing looks like on purple with that typeface. Again, I really do like that one. And then that's what that looks like there. Now what I might do is even though I've got the executive decision here, I'm really tempted to put this to the people and see what they think. And then maybe cut the video there, and then come back and finish up the brand, and then finish up the website in another video. Like, I plan to try and do all of this in one video, but I don't think that's practical. Time's getting on here anyway, and I don't want to keep you guys bored too long. So yeah, I might do that. I really like this one because I like the playful nature of it. I really like this one because I like the attitude and the statement it makes. And honestly, I may make the executive decision and choose that one. But also there's a little bit of me that likes this, and I'm trying to figure out why. I think maybe it's probably the legibility, because the others are very legible, but they take a minuscule, like a nanosecond extra for you to work out, whereas this is much easier to read. And obviously what I'm thinking about as well with this is I'm thinking about accessibility. I want to make sure that people, whoever they are able to read this. So let's put this one on. Actually, no, you know what? Let's put this one on, the one that isn't necessarily my favorite right now. And what we've got here, let's try and replicate that just to see what it looks like on different backgrounds, because this is an important thing to think about, right? So let's go Unsplash, which is a famous website, as you may already be aware, for free background images. And let's just say we've got a concrete wall. Now I don't know whether this is going to come up. Also, wow, it's taking a long time. Let's see. Yeah, concrete wall. Pick one that's suitable. This one looks about right. Click that. Download it. Great. Take this. Drop it in here. Wait for the old color wheel to finish because we've got 1,000 things open at the same time. Wow, it is taking a while. Why? I think it's just a massive file potentially. Okay, cool. So let's move this back down to here. Cool, and now we can see how this these typefaces start to shape up on this background. Now, this isn't going to be the most pleasant looking thing for a second, but bear with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all three of these. I'm going to size them up a little bit. No, I want to, yeah, there we go. No. Why is that? That's not what I want to do. That's why. Cool. There we go. All right, let's size these up a tiny bit. And then let's move them back into the middle. It's about there, cool. Thank you to Photoshop for now having those guides, which is helpful. Let's turn a couple of these off. Let's go back to the original one that we had here. Actually, yeah, let's do that. And then let's make them all slightly darker so that we can replicate what we've seen there. Now, I don't want to go full black, but I want it to look a little bit, as you can see. Now, if I just take all three of these, you see what that one might look like. Again, I really like that. See what that one looks like. I don't like that on that kind of background. Now, I may never have this logo on a concrete background in a washed out way like this, but if I do, I know what it looks like now. And I know that it looks interesting, more interesting or less interesting than the others. Again, I really like this one for that reason. Now, this is reminding me of something. It's reminding me a little bit of kind of a Street Fighter vibe. I don't know. I've got a weird memory for these things, so sometimes I'm like dead on with the logos. Let me see. It might not be that. It might be, but it might be something similar. But it is giving me kind of, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not far off. I'll back myself on that and say it was, yeah. Well, okay, yeah, I'm definitely backing myself on that. That looks really close to that kind of thing. And am I mad about it? I don't think I am, actually. I really quite like it. It's also a little bit more stretched. So hey, let's go. Let's just say that's the one that we're going with. Maybe I don't put it to the people. Maybe I do. We'll see. But let's take that one and then we'll duplicate it because we like the way it is already. And let's play around with it, right? So let's like do we need to rasterize it or merge the group first and foremost. And then that allows us to do some cool stuff with it. So we can do things like warp it and change the perspective, because the Street Fighter one is a little bit more kind of like on the side. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. I think I like the nature of it being naturally italicized. But if we do some warping, like, can we make it do some cool stuff for us? Like, I kind of like that, you know? Because what we want to do is we want to have like quite an individualized logo that doesn't. See, that kind of thing. Now what we can do is we can then compare them, right? So we've got that one there and we've got that one there. So if I take one here and I take that one there, oh. If I take that one there and I make that and multiply 2, was it multiply before? Or was it just slightly as a pass through? Okay, this one isn't, so this one should be a pass through as well. Where is pass through? I can never remember. I don't actually know how. How do I make that a pass through? It's because it's type and not. Okay, well now yeah, that's on pass through. Fine. And okay, I was asking myself the question. Photoshop, you don't need to show me. And then we can do things like change the backgrounds. Whoa, sorry. Interesting. You see how these work. That's really cool. I quite like that. I was thinking of like, ooh, that's pretty cool too. So is that. Tell you what I might do. So I might just take a bunch of screenshots here. So we've got that one there. Where was the other one? Quite like the lime. Reminds me of some football boots I used to have as a kid. I quite liked the like just off aqua bluey green. It's got a bit of punk attitude to it. I quite like the soft blue. Again, I'm very aware, and I don't want to stereotype genders to colours here, but I'm very aware that certain colours and schemes may attract different types of people. So I want to make sure that we're keeping that in mind as we're designing here. I quite like the hot pink. It's kind of a rebellious, like punk rock vibe to it. And then, see, I like the red in the example before, but I don't know if I like it here now. It might just be because that's not white, right? So if I let's say that we change this one and then I color overlay that with a white brand and then start changing the background again. See, I quite like that. That's pretty cool. So we've got some screenshots up in the corner now and it gives us some ideas to play around with. But then if I go to red now, then I kind of like that a little bit more, you see? It's got a bit more of a, I don't know, a bit more of like an Asian feel to it, I think. Or like a dystopian. This feels a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that game that this reminds me of? Like a, no, like the, oh, what was the one with Keanu Reeves? Reminds me of that one. I can't remember what it is. Interesting. Like that feels more like holiday vibes, and that's not really what I'm trying to get here. Or it does to me anyway. You know, yellow's not used a huge amount. Like, we should probably look at color psychology of these things as well, make sure that people feel welcome when they come along to events, but also at the same time feel quite rebellious. This like warm orange is quite nice. It's got a bit of attitude. It's quite welcoming. Yeah. Okay, so I think we've probably decided on the typeface, probably decided on the arrangement, probably decided that we don't want to skew it too much. I kind of like the original, and I really quite like a bunch of these colors, you know? Like, let's just go back through them here. What have we got? We got the yellows, we got a pink, a red, a purple, a pink here, a blue. I don't know, actually, do I like this? Maybe this is going to take a lot more like playing around with, just to try and find a version that works. A bit more warping, like you saw me do before. Like, this is a little bit off of what I want. I think maybe there's just because there's a tiny bit too much white space here, and obviously there's that overlap. I say obviously, you might not be able to see it. There's a tiny little overlap of the typefaces there, which creates a darker area. If I merge them, then that won't happen. Create a website, and away we go. Now, what I'm just going to do really quickly, because it shouldn't be ready yet based on that that advice is 24 to 48 hours, but let me just click it again. If it loads, then cool. Oh, wow. It has loaded. So as you can see, propagation did take around an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. It wasn't as long as the 24 to 48 hours that we thought. So what I'm able to do here now is to go here, log in with the details that I will not show you. Let's come up to my camera instead. Hi. And we can log in. Okay, right, let's come back to the screen. Now I will build the website on a separate video. I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long for that information, but as you can see, we're now on WordPress. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to take the theme that I usually build on, just to keep things really short and sweet and simple. Again, not sponsored, not promoting them for any other reason than I've used it a number of times. I currently own eight licenses for this item, but I think I've probably built with this theme 30 times before, so I'm very comfortable with it. It has incredible templates, got a bunch of really lovely features. They've thought of pretty much everything, and as you can still see, they're very popular because they've sold 141,000 of them, of which I'm a number of. Currently 8, but I think more on another account that I have. So 141046. I'm just curious as to how much money they've made by selling these themes, because to buy a license is $60. Wow, didn't used to be that much, I don't think. Times 60. It's a decent business that they've made $8.5 million from. Fair play, good work to the Salient team. They deserve it, frankly. You know, this has been around for, I don't even know how long now. It might say somewhere, but like 5 to 10 years probably. And I'm giving away my secrets here. Salient 15, so, you know, I don't know. They've probably not updated once a year. They've probably, oh, there you go. Yeah, they've been around 10 years, as you can see, published. Wow, that's wild. 10 years in the website building space is a long time. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I will come back to this video possibly this weekend, maybe next week. We'll take this theme, we'll install it into the website over here, and we'll start building. We'll also finalize what typeface, what font, what arrangement that we like here, and may do that in the meantime and just review it with you guys on the next video. And yeah, otherwise, that's basically it for today. I'm a little bit pooped out. It's 4 o'clock on a Friday. Should probably clock off, do something, probably send some emails that I've mostly ignored over the last hour or so while I've been chatting to you guys, and crack on. But yeah, within a couple of hours of a video, and maybe a couple more hours on another one, we'll have, you know, a website up and running within less than 1 day's worth of work for an organization with a brand and a whole bunch of other stuff going on. That's everything. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know, this is brand new to me. If you have tuned in, by the way, because is a very real chance that nobody ever watches this. There's a very real chance I've screwed this up and it doesn't actually exist. My phone says that I'm live on YouTube. Whether anybody's joined or not is a different question. I've not promoted this one because it might have gone completely wrong, because I might have, I don't know, screwed it up in some way, shape or form. What I might do is if this one works, which I will check afterwards, then I'll probably promote the next one. Who knows? Maybe people enjoy watching me build random stuff. Yeah, it might be quite fun. I like talking, and this gives me a really good chance to do it non-stop for a couple of hours with you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. As you know, I record videos of me building a new company and my current businesses live on a regular basis. They're not super consistent at the moment, but they are regular. I do them every now and again, and you'll get another one when I feel like it, frankly. In the meantime, go and watch the other videos that you can find on the non-live section of my YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe. Please like this video if you have watched it, because I don't know if it worked or not. And that would be a really great way for me to find out if that's the case. And then, and then if you have any questions at all, send them my way, and I will answer them for you. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video, and possibly even the next live stream, which might be this weekend or next weekend, or even in the week too. Yeah, stay good, be good, do good, and I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.